Hey everyone, thanks for joining us tonight for our Wednesday night live with Deb Fribbins. Tonight we're running a little bit behind just due to technical issues, but we're here and we're excited to see your questions and hear what you've got to say to Deb and to hear what Deb's got to say. So, hi Deb, how are you?
Well, thank you, darling. I'm sorry about my computers being very naughty. I do apologise to everybody for making you wait, but hopefully we can answer your questions as the hour progresses. And
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And I wanted to make a quick mention to all our collaborators in our merch store that we've developed on 1111hour.com. Go and have a look at that if you have a chance, everyone, because it's filling up and it's really exciting to see the different products. We've got things like from a WA fibre artist, Kate Cook. She has been producing really beautiful macrame wall hangings and jewellery. And we've got a great relationship with Jokers in Geelong, who is Rhett Jokers, who has that business. Rhett has been creating some really great merchandise with some paintings of mine, so some drink tumblers and things like that. So that's exciting. What else? We've got Phoenix Sewing, who has been creating a really special set, which is going to launch tomorrow, which I hope everyone has a look at. And Chris Hall, obviously, he sells his merchandise for Wheel for M&D on the website, and we also have a Beyond Blue item as well. So that's super exciting as well. So we've got a bit of everything and there's a lot of surprises coming up there. I wanted to mention quickly before we jump into things with Deb that we have a competition for autism awareness on the website now. So you just need to go to 1111hour.com and you can win one of 3 great sensory packs. So that's super exciting. That's really it. And if you can't stay to the end, we understand because we're all busy, but you can catch us on YouTube and Spotify. So that's also important. Now, let's just jump right in and talk to Deb about who she is and where she's come from. So what is your background, Deb?
My background, very boring. Unlike normal people who change their jobs every 5 minutes, I did the same thing for a lot of years. But mostly because I love it so much. I truly do. Retail is very exciting. As a little child, all I ever wanted to do was be a teacher. In year 11 at school, I got a scholarship to go to Teachers College, which I was very excited about. In year 12, as the year progressed, my life turned upside down for lots of reasons, doesn't matter. And I applied for a school holiday job at Myers, which finished 11 years later.
Wow. Okay.
And I loved it. I seriously loved every minute of it. It was just brilliant. When I joined retail, joined Myer originally, every individual store in Australia had its own set of buyers. So there were thousands of us. And when we started, they all got up there and said, right, you'll all be buyers at the new Queenstown store. And, this is going to be wonderful. And this is store still hasn't been built, let me tell you. That was 40 years ago. Haven't got around to building it yet, but that's okay. Myer, in the meantime, are closing stores left, right, and centre. But by the time I finished my 3-year training, they'd gone state by state. So hundreds of the buyers were relieved of their posts, and there were buyers for the state, not the individual stores. And within the 10 years, it went national.
Yeah. Wow.
All the buyers around Australia, and there were mostly Melbourne people that stayed. Lots came down from Sydney, and they let the odd token one in from Queensland, South Australia and Western Australia just to stop people complaining.
Yeah.
Wow. Which was sad to do, but it was exciting times, and it was the real beginning of the digital era for retail. It had been very manual up till then, but we had SKUs. We had little tags that went on all the clothes, like barcodes today, like QR codes, but it was numbers, and stored all the information for us, which was all very exciting because it was so new. You look back now, what we didn't. Oh my God, you've got to be joking!
Yeah,
the world has evolved a bit.
Yeah, and now you're here. So now you're mentoring businesses. You've got a book, which I loved. I
Good.
loved it. Yes, very good. We're waiting for the next one, Deb.
Yes. No, the next one will be specifically retail based. I am actually writing. It's all planned out. It's having time to sit down and do it.
Yeah,
Um, because I also want to do an online course for everybody so that they can do it at their pace, and you can zip through it in a couple of weeks if you want to, or you can take several months. You can go back
yeah.
and look at specific areas at a time. So hopefully by the end of this year, that'll all be up and running.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Okay, so what do you do now? So you're mentoring business owners. Is it mainly retail, or do you work with service-based businesses? Uh, is online stores? What do you specialize in? Do you specialize in one or all?
I kind of specialize in retail because that's basically my background.
Hmm.
And I love that. And I honestly believe that now is an ideal time. I know business is tough out there. I do understand that people are struggling. But I think if you approach things from a slightly different manner, I was absolutely dumbfounded yesterday. I looked up both the Myer and the Target sites. Target are closing 74 of their 125 stores this year.
Wow. Wow. Okay, that's huge.
When I left Target 10 or 12 years ago, they had nearly 400 stores. They're down to 125 and they'll have 50 by the end of this year.
Wow. Wow,
It's,
that's unbelievable.
yeah,
I
and
had a stint in Target head office as an allocation analyst, and there was a lot of stores back then, a lot more stores than what you just said that there is now. So that's interesting.
yeah, and
Mm,
my are down to, they had a lot more as well, but they're down to 63 stores and they're
mm,
closing 6 of them. It's 10% of their workforce. It's still
yeah.
a big, but I think the problem is, and if you look at a lot of the stores that have closed, the issue is that they haven't actually analyzed the business and what's happening, and they're not analyzing their clients and finding out what their clients want. I
Mm,
have 3 loves in my life, apart from my personal loves with my children and grandchildren, but I have
mm.
3 business loves. One is a guy called Richard Branson, whom I'm sure you've all heard of.
Yes.
One is Simon Sinek, which I hope you've all heard of. Simon is just an amazing. And the other one is a guy called Roger James Hamilton. Those
Okay.
3 men have got some amazing ways in which they work, and I've learned a lot from all of them.
Mm,
Richard Branson, as you would know, is a little bit left of field. He is right out there with what he does and how he does it. Simon Sinek has just got the most amazing mind, and I love, if you go and have a look at his quotes, you'll find
yeah,
on
I
my
will.
book, I'm often quoting Simon. One of the first things I learnt from Simon is why.
Hmm.
Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the point of you being there? So many people go into business and don't actually understand what it is that they're looking for, what
Mm,
they want out of it. I'm not talking about the business at this point. I'm talking about you personally. What is
mhm.
it that you want out of life? Why are you wanting to start a business in the first place? Do you want to
Yeah.
start a business from scratch? Do you want to buy a business and build it up or down? Do you want to join a franchise? What do you want for you, and what are your end goals? What do you want in the way of lifestyle? How many hours do you want to work? How many staff do you want to look after? Are
Mm.
you a people person that can manage your staff really well? What's your why?
Well, that's something that I've learned from you from attending workshops that you've run, Deb. That is the biggest takeaway for me was, what is your why? Why are you doing this? What's your end goal? What do you want your year to look like each year? What do you want your work day to look like? All that stuff is really important because we can get stuck doing something that we think is on trend or something that we think is going to take off, but we can very quickly find that it becomes exhausting and it becomes a chore, and it's not going to ever be successful because you just don't have the passion behind it. That's my view, and that's what I've gotten from you.
Correct. You lose if you don't have a firm goal and something absolutely, this is
Mm,
my goal. You end up, and in my view, part of the major retailers around at the moment are playing basketball on a football oval with a soccer ball with hockey goalposts. It
mm,
work like that. Yes, they're all sport, but they are all played very, very differently. You need to have that really firm goal in the middle of whatever you do, and everything that you do comes into that one goal. If you're not really clear on what your direction is, you can't make good strategies that lead you to where you're going. And the other part of it is that, and a lot of us are guilty, particularly in the early days of starting up a business, the shiny new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that looks exciting. I'll go over there. So you've got this goal, and then you see something, and oh, whoops, we've got to turn around and come back. Oh, look at that over there. So you've really got to be clear, because otherwise you'll spend a lot of time doing a lot of things, exhausting yourself physically, but not
Yeah.
to achieve that goalpost that you're looking for in the first place.
True. So you've got a 5D program that you've developed, correct? Yes. And I think it'd be really good to run through that as we talked about.
Yep.
And maybe you could start us off.
Okay. Sure.
Yep.
The 5D program, if anybody that's followed me, you know I do everything in fives. Don't know why that started, but I do everything in fives. So we have the 5D program. So that your first thing you need to do is define who you are, your why. Why do you want to be in business? What is it that you want out of it? So really think about defining your end goalposts. They will move a little, but to move the goalpost from here to here rather than here to, you've got to have those goalposts. So you define who you are and what you want. You then look down and determine all of the factors that affect that business. So what are the things that in your particular business, and that will vary business by business. So that's the key with what I do. The principles are the same, but you need to adapt it to your particular business. If you are in the food industry, do you need a refrigerated truck? If you're selling ladies' dresses, you don't need a refrigerated truck. So, I mean, that's an obvious example, but there are so many examples that you could come up with about every aspect of your business. What are the things that make your business work for you? What are the things that will give you the end result that you're looking for? So once you've defined what all the issues are, determined what all the issues are, you then need to devise ways of turning any issues that present, i.e., get back to the food shop. If you determine that you need a refrigerated truck for your food, but you don't do anything about it, you could have a few health problems, among other things. So, what are the things that you need? Do your clothing need to hang rather than be folded? What are the things that are going to make your business stand out from everybody else? So you devise those plans. You simply then deliver on those plans. And this is something where a lot of people fall down, because if you, again, heading for that one goalpost, you determine these are the plans that you need to do, you devise those, and then just go off again and start delivering other plans that aren't going to take you back to what you're trying to do. And lastly, and most importantly, dissect. Plan, dissect. Go back into what you've done. Stuff that's worked really well, why did it work? And how can you make it even better? Stuff that didn't work, it's not the whole business that's screwed. There's something that you've done that you haven't picked up on, something that the customers want, something that, there was an earthquake in town. That is not your problem, but you need to be aware of what all of those issues are. Why did your marketing not work? Why did nobody walk into your store today? What have you done different that will not draw your customers into the business? And write it all down. None of us have got brilliant memories. Write it down. When you get to next year, you think, oh, February we did blah last year. Why did we do? Oh, actually we're selling winter clothes and it's 39 outside, 42. What is it that you're looking at? Did you have your winter stock in too early? Retailers have been years and getting worse at it. Now, what are the things that you need to do? It poured with rain for 5 days straight in January and nobody had any umbrellas in the town. What are the things that you can do to react and be proactive to what's happening around in your marketplace? So the 5D program, and if I can just use an example, I would really love everybody that's listening. If your partner came home and said, right, tomorrow we're going to Queensland on holidays, pack your bags, let's go. We're leaving at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Write down for me 6 things that you would take on your holiday. I'll just give you 2 minutes to write it down. What 6 things would you pack in your bag when hubby, boyfriend, girlfriend has come home and said, we're going to have a holiday in Queensland for 6 days?
Mm-hmm.
Leave tomorrow morning.
Here's a question for everyone. Write down
Yep.
6 items. Yes. See if you can pop it in the comments for us and let us know what those 6 items would be. Yeah, I really agree with the dissecting, Deb, because no matter what business you run, there's something that might just go wrong or something that goes really right, and you want to emulate that. You want to keep doing that, right? And you want to know what you did to make that happen. And sometimes it's not a simple answer. So, it takes time to go through things. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Here we are. One, toothbrush, hairbrush, phone charger, laptop, paint part / pen.
Right. And that's your tips and answers that people are coming up with.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when you get there with your bathers, dress, sunscreen, sunglasses? Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. And hubby then says, boyfriend, whatever, partner then says to you, okay, where's the wedding present? We're going to the boss's wedding. I forgot to mention that part. Oh, sorry about that. Where's the wedding dress? It's a formal wedding. Where's the wedding dress? Where's the shoes? It's starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Excuse me. It's starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you haven't got all the facts, you defined what you were doing, you're going to Queensland. Awesome. But you didn't determine what all the factors were. Why were you going to Queensland? What was the point of going up there? What do you need? Mm-hmm. Then you start packing up your bags and looking at what it is that you're going to devise. You have to buy a present. You have to get a dress. Mm-hmm. You have to be organised, etc. You deliver on them. You make sure you pack them in your bag, and then you get to Queensland.
Yes, that makes sense.
We do that automatically in our home life, hopefully most of the time. So without thinking, you just say, okay, now I'll be going, what are we doing? How are we going? Right, and we'll do it. That's great. Yes. But if we don't do that in business, can you imagine what it would be like from a business perspective at the end when you've got none of the things, none of the reasons that you're going? Think of your holidays being your customer.
Mm-hmm.
You've got nothing that customer needs.
Yeah.
If you follow if you follow the 5D process, it is so logical. It seriously becomes a way of life, and you just do it without thinking about the process. It just happens automatically. So yeah, it's quite simple, but there's a million parts to all of that. Yes, with the information and the instructions. Absolutely right, Corinne.
Yep. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. That does. So that's the 5 steps. Have we did 5? Yep. Dissect was the last one. That's really, really interesting. And I've taken that from you as well. You've shared that with me before in your workshops. Yeah. And that really can be universal. That could be used in any business or any situation, like we're saying. So, I use that. I have service-based businesses, and that's exactly what I do when that's because I've learned it from Deb. So that's something that everyone should hold on to. I think that simple 5-step process.
It doesn't matter whether you've got goods or services. It doesn't matter whether it's food or clothing or gardening or whatever it is. The principles don't change. You just need to adapt it to the products that you're trying to work with, the purpose of your business, your why, and who your clientele is.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you think, this has just popped into my head because it's something I wonder, what do you think retail businesses get wrong these days? What's one thing that they just don't get right?
Talking to a lot of people, as I have done, to me, the biggest issue, the thing that I keep hearing is, when things get back to normal. What is normal? More importantly, do you really think we are ever going to go back to something that happened pre-COVID 5 years ago? Because that's really what they're talking about, when things get back to normal pre-COVID. There is no normal. Things have changed so dramatically. StreamYard probably, I don't actually know when it started, but probably wasn't even invented then.
Mm.
Zoom was, this much of the business. Skype was really strong back in those days.
Yeah.
Didn't work terribly well, but I was on Skype. But
Yeah.
people involved and doing business. I mean, doing this sort of thing live would not happen. You would
Yeah.
go to a workshop in a building somewhere. You wouldn't sit at home with your cup of coffee or whatever you're having and just sit back and listen to
Yeah.
what's. They weren't there. So what is your customer today looking for as opposed to what they were looking for 18 months ago? I heard a mature lady, friend of mine, recently saying, "Oh, all the fashions at the moment are so terrible. There's just nothing out there."
Yeah.
Well, actually, the problem, my darling, is because knowing this particular person and the way she dresses, they don't make clothes like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They seriously don't. We had a boss when I was at Target. We had a boss who came out from England. He was the buying director. Fabulous man. I'd walk hot coals to work for this guy. He is now, I don't know what his title is, but he's one of the head gurus for Just Jeans.
Mm-hmm.
And he came into the building. He came to Australia, first of all, and did not step foot inside the store for 2 months.
All right.
Went
Okay.
all over Australia, and he sat in the mall and watched the customers going in and out of the store.
In and out. Okay.
Looked at what parcels people were walking around with. Why were they all buying from Myers or David Jones or Just Jeans or wherever it was? What differences were there? And then when he eventually came into the office, he came around to each of our departments and sat with us and sat with kind of my level and up, and he told us who he was, and he had 2 kids and the daughters were at university and they're coming out and blah, blah, blah. And did anybody have any questions? So he went around the table, and my question was, what was the biggest difference that he found from his English experience to what's happening in Australia? He said, I cannot believe, where are the brown suits? You can't buy a brown suit for love nor money. This is so ridiculous. And then he laughed. And he said, and menswear is just disgusting. What's with all these coloured board shorts? Nobody wears board. Well, they don't in England. That's absolutely true.
True. Yeah.
Market. And I, as I said, I'd walk hot coals to work with him again, because he sat back and looked at what our customers wanted, not
Yes.
what he thinks we should be selling to them and making them buy. Simon Sinek says people don't buy what you sell, they buy why you sell it. So why are you selling? You're servicing your customers' needs. You're not servicing your needs. One of the key things I say to people, from particularly people who are looking at buying into retail stores, be it fashion or homewares or whatever, it doesn't matter. Ladies, sorry, in the majority of cases it's women, and they'll say, I've got really good taste. My home is beautiful. Everybody tells me everything is wonderful. I'm going to open a homeware store. Look at all this lovely stuff, and nothing sells. Why? Because you don't buy what you like, you buy what your customers like.
Exactly. Good point. We have a question from Zoe. How would you go about observing your customers if you are an online business instead of in an in-store business? Good question.
The principle's the same, Zoe. One, I would still go out and sit outside like product stores to see what they do have and check out the marketplace. But B, go and research the different stores. We do it as customers anyway. You go in and have a look at, if you wanted to buy a pair of shoes, you would go into your favorite shoe online store, but then you go and look at others as well to see what's on trend, what's the latest, what will it go with, how many outfits can you wear it with, you're only going to buy it to wear with one thing, whatever. So you do research. Retailers need to do exactly the same thing and understand what their customers are doing. The most successful online retailers are those that are able to do dropship, because they don't have to buy any stock.
Yes.
The manufacturer is the one who's carrying the financial cost, and they're just displaying their suppliers' goods so that you can see what's out there and you can say, yes, I'll have one of those, and then they drop ship from the factory to your home.
Yes, I have actually dabbled in that because we had a store that sold items to help people in the kitchen who had disabilities or, were struggling to do certain things like opening a can and things like that. That's a basic example. But I was ordering the things in as well because I wanted to test them and make sure they were good and all that. But also I was able to do that from a lot of suppliers, and not only just big suppliers. I contacted like smaller companies or smaller businesses that had a product that I was interested in stocking. People often ignore that, I found, and don't realize the gems that they could have in their store. And they just concentrate on the bigger companies that you can get your stock from. I think that was something that I learned, and that set our business apart. And yeah, I liked that. But yeah, I actually spoke to a young guy recently who started a drop shipping business and was very successful. So, there's a lot in that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to get to that. It doesn't matter what country it's coming out of, but if it's coming out of China, you need to forge really good relationships with these key stakeholders. You need to be prepared to put the time in. Get off your bottom and go up there. Don't do it all online. Once you've got a relationship, you can do it online and keep it going.
Yeah.
But you need to meet these people face to face. You need to hand them your business card with two hands. You need to be respectful of their culture, build a relationship with them, and they'll do anything for you.
Exactly. How can a small business conduct trend research like the giant stores do? Like, for example, Kmart, Myer, or Target, or what's left of them?
Yep. Good point. What's left of them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the same thing. Again, we can all do the same thing. There are, I was going to say magazines, online magazines these days. Just simply go in, keep abreast of what's happening in the marketplace in your particular product group. So what's out there, who's got it, how does it work? There are huge differences in price points because of the fabrications and so on. So you're looking, when you say you're looking at doing an apparel business, for instance, you look at what it is that you want to start with. So I want dresses, in my case, oversized. I want the color red because red, black, and white are my colors. So you can go into the internet really easily, red dress, size 24, day wear. And they'll come up with 200 dresses from 50 different retailers around town, and you can choose from that. So you can see what's happening out there much easier than we did in the olden days.
Yeah.
But I also remember that I used to say to people, you never ever buy what you like. We as buyers, as we traveled the world, we had the benefit of seeing product in situ with right products around it. So you go into the stores, and the first thing you do is stand back and have a look at the store, look at the way that it's presented. Do they do it by color? Do they do it by category? In the products that you were just talking about, Tabitha, where you're looking at products that are specifically for disabled people, there is no point in putting a disabled person's potato peeler with the potato peelers. A spatula that's got grippy bits on it, and they've usually got a little hook on the underneath so that your hand doesn't slip down the handle and into the fat and so on. There's lots of things that they can do for people with disabilities. So you look at them, but you put them all together and you present them together, because a customer who has a disability, and that's the big thing when you're looking for product or looking to set up your store, how does your customer want to buy in your store? If they have a disability of some description, put all the disability products together so that they can find, and they don't have to wade through to find the item that they're looking for. If you're talking about apparel, that's not a disability issue, because they all look the same. But if you're talking about things that have a physical end use for the client, then those products together. If you have a shoe shop and you've got people who've got a club foot or some major deformity with their feet, there's no point in putting a big heavy shoe in with a pair of strappy sandals. You're not going to put the strappy sandals or the big heavy shoe. So you display them together in your store for the customer that's looking for them.
Yes.
In an apparel store in particular, I think it's really important to keep changing things around to make the store interesting, to get the customers to come into you. So today you might set it up by colour. So everything that you sell in blue is together. Everything you sell in green is together, etc. month you set it all up by category. So t-shirts over there, tank tops over there, skirts over there, trousers over there, dresses over whatever. The next time you do it, you might do it by in juice. So sundresses go with tank tops and board shorts, and cocktail dresses go with evening dresses, go with whatever. Look at how your customer, and if you were lucky enough to own a series of stores, go to what the area, also the demographics of the area that your store is in when you do all of that. And that's been one of the biggest issues that's happened with the likes of a Myer and a Target. Somebody in the office sits there and says, right, this is the way we're going to do it, which is fabulous. It works in Melbourne, but you know what? It doesn't work in Queensland. I mean, one of the biggest, when Myer went national back in 1983, when I left to have my son, I remember Bill Dawson was our managing director, and we got all the buyers together and the managers, and he's thumping the desk, as long as my bum points to the ground, we will not go to national buying because they don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. True to his word, he resigned 6 months later because they did go national, but they sent their fur coats to Queensland in February because the stock starts coming in February. They sent their bathers to Queensland in September because it doesn't get hot in Melbourne until October, November.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
madness.
And even without going interstate, obviously there are big differences there, but even in your own area, the demographics of the people around you, an area in each will sell your same product very differently to Geelong Central, which could be very different to Corio, which will be different to Armstrong Creek. You've got age differences, you've got gender differences, you've got cultural differences, so you've got to work with and sell to the client that is coming into your store. They buy what they want, not what you think they should have.
True. We've got a question. What would be the correct process to try and get a product of your own into a big brand retailer?
These days, that is getting harder and harder, which is why I still think the little guys have the opportunity to do something with it if you do some marketing behind it. To get into the big guys these days, there are so many discounts that you have trading term discounts, you have discounts because you're a new supplier, you have markdown discounts, so an item that you would buy or sell to a small store for $20 that sells for $40. Big guys expect you to pay only 10, so the little guy's going to pay 20, but the big guy's going to pay 10 because he's going to sell it for 50 anyway, because their overheads are much higher, their cost of doing business is much higher, and they tend to stick to the supply base that they've got. They have meaningful relationships with their suppliers. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they start out is they'll go to things like the Reed Gift Fair. If you're into homewares at all or decorator, go to the Reed Gift Fair. It is completely free to go into. I don't get anything out of this. I'm not plugging it for me. But honestly, it's the best because that's where you see your trends. These guys bring all the trendiest stuff out. And as you walk around, I say to people, allow 3 days to go to the fair, because the first day you just walk around in awe and look at everything, hold your catalogue and mark off, like an art show. You mark off the one that you want to go back to have a look at. Day 2, you go back and you found 4 stalls that sell blankets. So you go back to 4 of them and compare, so that when day 3 you go back, that's the blanket manufacturer I want to go to. That's the dress manufacturer I want to go to. I need 2 t-shirt manufacturers because it's 2 demographics that are different. And places like the gift fair and the apparel do the same thing. But that puts all the products together and it gives you the opportunity to see what the latest trends are.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That would be smart if you had a gift. What is it, like homewares and gifts? Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah. Zoe, what are the biggest changes you've noticed in the retail sector with the rise of internet shopping and social marketing being so prevalent? Great question. That's something I wonder. Yes.
Yep, awesome question, Zoe. The biggest changes are people. Seriously, 40 years ago, if we advertise something and we say to you, this is the best glass on the market, go and buy it, was pretty much all you had to do. $10 down to $5, buy it, go away, thank you very much, we said it's the best. It doesn't work like that anymore. People are much more circumspect about what they want. So you need to know the trends that we've just been talking about. And it's not about discounting. People want value for money. They don't want the cheapest. You have $2 shops. You can buy a glass in a $2 shop for $2. You can buy Stuart crystal glass from the Royal Dalton shop in Melbourne for $150 for one glass. So it depends. Don't look at price as being the be all and end all. It's again back to your business, defining what you're looking for. If you're selling $2 shop product and your whole store is set up that way, do it. There's nothing wrong with that. You're making a statement. If you're selling products that are slightly upmarket, then you want something. You don't want a plastic glass. You don't want a big, thick, horrible, chunky glass. You want a nice, fine, not crystal, but a nice, fine piece of glassware that people would be proud to have in their home. Then that's your market. Same with your clothing.
Yeah. Do you know, I find sometimes when I talk to a business owner and they're talking about price and they don't know what to charge, they're really unsure about what their pricing should be at, what their price point. Often I find that they're aligning their price with what they think their value is. And that's really, sometimes you think, well, you've got it all wrong. So that's just one point that I wanted to make. It's not really a question, but just something that I think I've observed over years. Yeah.
You need to look at your competitors. What's your competition doing out there? That glassware example is perfect for this, because what end of the market are you looking at? If you think you've got a nice middle of the range glass and it's that middle customer, the bulk of our customers, fortunately for us, then what price points are out there? I bought that one. This one came from Aldi, but I bought some in salt and pepper the other day that look almost identical. It's just slightly different on the top. The perceived value in the marketplace is $40 for a 6-pack of glasses. People will look at that and think $6.50 each. That's fine. I can do that. Yeah. If they want a $2 glass, they'll go to the $2 shop. They're not comparing you to the $2 shop, nor are they comparing you to the Royal Dalton to get a Stuart crystal glassware. So you need to be competitive.
Yeah, I think we all value different products at different levels, or maybe I'm someone that would buy say I'm like, oh look, I have kids, I'm going to have a lot of glasses smash. I'm going to go to the $2 shop and I'm going to spend $2 on a glass, right? You might be like, hey, look, I live here with my dogs and I'm I think I look after my things and I'm not going to smash them. Maybe I might want to have the $100 glass if I want to. I think it's very, you can't assume what your customers want at all. You just need to, do your research. I think Area Business Synergy put up a thing said market analysis. So market analysis, definitely, it's all about what you were saying earlier, like the guy sitting outside the store and, seeing who's buying what. And it's interesting. Yeah.
And it's not really bugs me when people sit back and say, oh, you've got to do it at half price. There are certain retailers, and I have to be careful here, but there are retailers out there whose all their catalogues are 40 to 50% off everything.
Yes.
First thing, what they do on Australian standards is actually illegal. And if you have a look at the court cases in the paper every week, they are in there with 10 and 15 court cases against them because they're false advertising, because they're saying this is $25 down to 10. Well, you didn't sell any at $25. It's not worth $25. That's not true. Yes, it's worth. So you've got companies who bring things in specifically at double the price so that they do a 50% off.
Yes.
Doesn't mean it's worth that. And
true. Yeah.
In days gone by, people would look at, particularly like the stock take sales, which have always been the biggest sales of the year until the Black Friday market sales came in. But everything was 50% off. So you can go in and you could pick a product, any product that's 50% off. Well, they bought it in at double the price, especially so they could sell it at half price. And that's what the regular price is down at Joe Blow's down the road, who doesn't do 50% off because he offers value for money.
True.
What I believe you want to do is look at packaging that product up. So you say, okay, I'm not going to sell the glasses individually. I want to sell them in a pack of 4 or 6, or I want to do something different. I'm going to do a tray with it. I'm going to do swizzle sticks. I don't know, whatever it is that's right for your. Does anybody know what a swizzle stick is these days? Am I showing you on that one? Yeah, so you look at packaging the products up. So again, the perceived value to the customer is more than, and you don't have to off price. You just do it as a parcel, and they, wow, isn't that great? Even the computer companies and so on are doing that now, where they, buy it. This week, my TV blew up, as it would.
Oh no.
And I went through, I did all my research. I looked at whether I wanted to learn all these words that I didn't know, a QLED or an OLED or a UHD or a 4K, and still don't know what half of that means, but I know what you have to have. But I went in and spoke to the guy, and he said, what's your budget? And I told him I ended up spending 50% more than I wanted to, but I got really good value for money in what he did in putting the package together for me. And what he did, of course, was say, well, if you do this package as I'm selling it to you, yes, you're going to spend $500 more than you wanted to, but if you came in next week and did it, you'd be spending $2,000, so you're actually saving $500. So they hone in on the fact that you're saving $500, not the fact that you're paying $1,500.
We are all after, we all want it to be easier. So like you're talking about buying a TV, right? For me, I would be like, who's gonna sell me a TV that obviously does the things I need it to do, but is going to make the process easy for me? Because I can Google TV and say, I don't know, whatever size. I don't even know the sizes of TVs. That's a really bad example, but say that I did and I was after a certain size TV, and I could bring up all the ones that are there and what's on sale and what this one does and whatever. It can get quite overwhelming. So to be able to still be able to go into a store and talk to somebody like you spoke to, and them say, hey, this is the deals that we've got right now. I can package it this way for you. I like that, rather than buying something like that big online that I don't know, unless I had great advice from somebody I knew.
And the other part of that person appeared to care about what I was getting and why. Because he said to me, how big is the room it's going into? Because my TV was a 55-inch, and I measured the space because I wanted it wall mounted, and a 65 fits in beautifully. There's a half an inch each side, fits perfectly. And he said, well, how far back from it are you? Because if you're sitting up really close, you sit there looking at the screen because you physically can't see that much of the screen.
Yeah.
When you're very close. Excuse me. No, I'm not
join in.
Yes. No, it's demanding attention. So yeah, and then you talked about other things in the room as well, and can you shift the TV here and the lights coming in. I had to end up getting a QLED because one wall faces west and it's all glass. And the more light you have, it affects the quality of the picture. So if you're watching TV in the daytime, you need a QLED and so on. But they were facts that then
they mattered to you. Those facts, they're important. Yeah.
And I knew I had to pay more. A QLED is much more expensive than an LED, and the OLED is more expensive again. And he said, well, quite frankly, you're wasting your money buying an OLED unless you do a lot of sport. How much sport do you watch? And I just looked at him and said, do you think I watch any?
Yeah.
not my thing, sport. So yeah, what do you want? What's going to suit your needs? And you go back a few years. I'm a little bit older than most of you, or probably all of you, where people would, what's your style, madam? What do you like to wear? I'm not going to say here's a pink polka dot when you walk in a black like I am. I mean, a bit like you, Tab. You're mostly in black, and I'm in black because that's what I do. Somebody told me years ago that black was slimming. Don't know that that's right, but it doesn't matter. I'm sticking to it. But they care about, and do you want a scarf with it? Do you want what accessories? Increase your basket size. So they come in to buy a black t-shirt, but okay, look at this scarf. Doesn't that look lovely with it? If you just do this and a piece of jewelry, stick a necklace or a brooch or big dangly earrings, whatever. Again, look at your customer. If she's wearing dangly earrings, and talk to her about dangly earrings. If she's wearing tiny little studs in her ears, she's probably not one that's going to wear feathers.
Yeah, true. Here's another question. Is it better to list online items with free shipping and including that cost in the product price, or is it better to list it with a post cost attached? What do you think?
I think you need to be more transparent. I get very angry with stores that aren't. It's very difficult to absorb the cost if you're looking at low priced products. If your products are sending $10 and you know damn well it's going to cost you $5 to send it out, to just advertise it or market it at $15 when all your competitors are at 10 is not going to do you favors, because people won't necessarily think, oh, I've got to pay postage on top of that. They just want to know what it's going to cost them. So
Yes.
my recommendation always is look at try to get your cost as low as you possibly can. But look at the retail price. If you've got an item that you're charging the customer $200 for and it's going to cost $10 in postage, give it to them for free. Seriously, it's better. It's a 5% discount. So instead of giving them a 20% discount to get the business in, give it to them for free. And maybe if it's a $200 dress, throw a piece of jewelry in, throw a scarf in. Give them something else that gives them added value for money.
Well, here's a big one. Sort of off topic here, but sort of off topic here, but where did your passion for this stuff come from, Deb? I'll be replaying this chat, making so much sense and making me think more logically about business. Loving it.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. I don't, as I said at the beginning, I kind of fell into it because I was going to be a teacher. And I think that's what I'm doing now. The 15-year-old's finally coming out and teaching you guys what I've learned over the years of retail. I just loved it. I was very lucky to have some really good teachers. And when at the time I went through, Myers ran a proper training program. And it started off being a 3-year course, but we did it in 2. And you worked on the floor at the same time so you could put into practice the things that they were teaching us in theory upstairs. 1 full day and 2 half days in training, and the rest of the time on the floor actually working with customers, and they talked to us about our business. So you related back what you were learning into what the business was there. And it's something that I get very passionate about. I get more passionate too, because I know I got into trouble, particularly towards the end of my career, because you get passionate about the actual product that you're selling.
Yes.
I have a very logical mind, and I am getting back to Roger James Hamilton with the personality types. I'm a trader. I put everything in boxes. Everything has to be organized. I'm very cut and dried, very black and white, no fluff, no airy with me. I'm absolutely black and white. So you look at what you're doing and how it all works through, but then you're able to analyze that as you go to see what's there. And getting back, if anybody's had the opportunity to go in and have a look at Wealth Dynamics, which is Roger James Hamilton's thing, he talks about the types of people, and without spending any time doing it, somebody like me who's a trader who is black and white and needs the facts needs somebody that's very creative to come up with doing the promoting the products creatively and doing things interesting for the customers, because customers don't want black and white. Customers want that nice fringe. Excuse me. And the second person that you need in your wheelhouse is somebody who is what they call it, what he calls a star, which is somebody who's not look at me, but look at her, look at what she or he is doing, look at what that person has got. So somebody's going to promote your business for you, having a really good PR manager.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. Here's a question from Leah. What ethical considerations guide your business and marketing decisions, and how do you ensure alignment with your values whilst pursuing growth and profitability?
I love you, Leah. Seriously, that is absolutely awesome.
Great. Yes.
I was lucky. Target was extremely ethical, believe it or not. We made companies sign ethical agreements that they wouldn't ever manufacture with, basically slave labor. And every now and again, somebody would find one that was, because we're on the news, and Target's making jeans for with 8-year-olds and all that kind of rubbish.
Yeah.
It usually wasn't Target Australia, it was Target US, but that's minor detail. We won't talk about that. But more importantly, if it was somebody that we were dealing with, they got cut off at the knees, we wouldn't take the orders. We might have given them a contract for them, but we wouldn't buy them because the overarching contract was that it had to be ethical. I believe that it's really important. Anything that I do has to be sustainable, and I don't mean in the literal sense of the word. It has to be sustainable in that it's going to last more than 5 minutes. It has to be biodegradable where humanly possible, or at least repurposed, so that you're not just rubbishing, doing landfill.
Yeah, that was a great question, Leah. Like that one. That's good. I think this will be the last question. Zoe, are in-person salespeople still relevant in most stores nowadays?
I think they're more important today, Zoe, than they were in the past, because people go in online, as we've said, and they do look at what's online, and that's great. But we're very tactile. So you need to go in and feel the fabric. You need to go in and feel how soft and fluffy a pillow is. You need to go in and look at the colour of the lipstick. We're very tactile in what we want. And a lot of us aren't clever enough to be able to see what it's going to look like. One of the strongest senses that we have to have as buyers in retail is be able to relate that product, what it's going to look like in store and what it's going to look like in the customer's home. So we do that with each individual item, because then we pull items together from all over the world. A lot of customers can't do that, but you put them together. I remember in my very early days, there's a store in Adelaide called Westlakes, and the little girl who was running this area manager for kidswear down there, I was doing kidswear at the time, in the boyswear area, she would put a pair of pants with a t-shirt with the appropriate pair of either dress shoes or thongs or sandals or whatever it was. So she'd put the outfit together, and she got the guys to put holes in the pillar. She actually got into trouble for that part, but we won't go there. But she'd hang it all together on a hanger and pin the shirt to the shorts and so on, so people could see the whole outfit. And people would walk in and say, I'm going to have one of those. Whereas if they walked around the department looking at the pants and looking at the T-shirts, they wouldn't necessarily put the two together. So I think it's really important that you have people who know how to put those things together. Does that make sense?
Yes. And one of our members, I know this is a little, it's not on a different topic, but Corinne, who is listening, she's very, very good at putting together, she has Mile Furniture, putting together her display for when she takes pictures of her refurbished furniture. I love seeing it, because I can't do that. It's very inspiring to me when you see somebody as a customer, because I'd be a customer, seeing it put together the way that you would hope that it'd look in your home. It's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Deb. It's been really insightful, and I know a lot of people in our Help Me Build My Business community running retail businesses who could really benefit from hearing this, and we're going to be sharing it far and wide, which we have tonight, but also tomorrow. And there's a lot of I think one thing I'd really like to say before we go is, if you want to get in touch with Deb, it's Deb Developing Excellence in Business. She has a wonderful Facebook page there.
You're frozen, Tab.
Is to be, I think you're going to be doing a whole fresh new look. Am I right, Deb?
I am. I'm off to Bali on the weekend for 2 weeks with my family, which I'm so looking forward to. And I've got a week where I come back to finalise the marketing plan. And Monday week, the 6th of May, there will be a whole lot of new things happening and ways of working with you. I've spent the last 4 months doing an awful lot of research and tweaking what we're doing to evolve. There is no, but what I learned 60 years ago is not what we do today. So I try to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah,
so we're going to approach.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of delay, or there's an issue with it's breaking up a bit. But basically, Deb has a whole new website coming. It's a really great resource, so definitely jump on that when she releases that website in Help Me Build My Business. We'll share it on 11/11 and all that. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Don't forget to head over to the website and have a look at the merch store. We'd love your feedback, honestly, just your feedback. You don't have to purchase anything. We'd just love to see what you think of what we're doing. It's really important because it is a collaborative effort. It's not about 1111. It's about help me build my business and 1111 as a combination. So everyone's invited to have a look there and let us know what you think. And don't forget, while you're there, enter the competition, because Autism Awareness Month is an important month for many of our families that are part of Help Me Build My Business. I have an autistic daughter. Cherry has an autistic daughter. Many of our members over there have a connection to autism. So please enter that. There's 3 really great sensory toy packs to give away. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll catch you next week. I'm so excited. This is really fun. These live nights have been really fun. So thank you very much for joining us. Thanks, Deb.
Thanks very much for the opportunity. Bye, ladies. Excuse me.